Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles.
Meghan Markle's royal glow fading fast. She was once the sparkling Duchess of Sussex, the global media darling. But today, headlines scream stripped, fallen, ousted. And the crown's golden shield no longer protects her. That's right, Meghan may soon lose her Duchess title. But here's the real shock. Her public fall began long before the palace doors slammed shut. Failed projects, PR disasters, and a growing army of critics. Could this be the moment Meghan's celebrity dream finally crashes into reality? And here's the kicker. We've uncovered what's brewing behind the scenes. Whispers of a political push, royal insiders tightening the screws, and Meghan's once loyal fans turning cold. This isn't just about losing a title, it's about losing power, privilege, and maybe her last shot at royal relevance. You're watching Chatterfuse. Don't blink, because what's coming next will stun you. Hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe. We're diving deep into the unraveling of Meghan Markle's royal world, and trust us, you won't want to miss a second.
Meghan Markle has been very brazen recently with the use of the HRH. Now, royal fans will know in 2020, during the negotiations for Harry and Meghan to leave royal duties, it was agreed with Queen Elizabeth that they will not use the HRH title. That is a...
And if you thought losing a title was the only blow Meghan's facing, oh, buckle up. Because even before the whispers from Westminster reached a fever pitch, the cracks were already spidering through her carefully curated empire. Let's talk about the Archewell brand. The powerhouse foundation Meghan and Harry launched with glossy promises of global impact, social change, and humanitarian work. For a while, it rode the wave of public fascination. But fast forward to today, and the sheen has dulled. Reports of staff shakeups, sluggish progress, and vague, unfulfilled initiatives have turned once glowing headlines into subtle industry eye rolls. Insiders whisper about brand fatigue, the uncomfortable reality that being royal adjacent can only carry a project so far. And it doesn't stop there. Remember the Spotify deal, once touted as a groundbreaking platform for Meghan's voice, literally. It ended abruptly, reportedly over creative differences and unmet expectations. That podcast, which was supposed to set the world on fire, quietly fizzled, leaving behind awkward questions about delivery and audience reach. Then there's Netflix, the big-ticket, jaw-dropping, multi-million-dollar deal that made headlines worldwide. Sure, the Harry and Meghan docuseries generated plenty of buzz, but after the initial shock factor, viewership tapered off. Critics panned follow-up content as thin, repetitive, and here's the cutting bit. Reliant on the same royal grievances that were supposed to be left behind. In a cutthroat streaming landscape, where fresh, compelling stories are king, the Sussex brand feels stale. For an older audience, this isn't just entertainment industry chatter. It's a classic case of a high-profile couple stepping into the brutal world of business without the institutional scaffolding that once cushioned them. Without the palace behind them, every misstep is magnified. Every underperforming deal, an echo chamber of, "we told you so." And emotionally, the stakes are even sharper. Meghan once held the world's sympathy. A young woman navigating impossible royal pressures, carving her own path. But as her ventures struggle, that narrative has shifted to one of overreach, overexposure, and diminishing returns. What was once an inspiring escape story now feels like a slow-motion unraveling, with the public watching, arms crossed, waiting to see if she can truly stand without the crown. So no, this isn't just a duchess losing a title. It's a woman watching the foundation of her post-royal identity shake under the weight of unmet promises. And the fallout? It's only just beginning. But if the brand cracks weren't enough, Meghan's recent Nigeria trip poured gasoline on the fire. And not in the glamorous, charitable way she might have hoped. On the surface, it looked picture perfect. Meghan visiting Nigeria, wrapped in bright fabrics, smiling alongside local leaders, speaking passionately about charity and empowerment. The media snapped it up, the photo ops rolled out, and the headlines gushed. But behind the scenes, the grumbling grew louder, especially in Britain's political and diplomatic circles. Why? Because Meghan isn't a working royal anymore. She and Harry stepped back from official duties years ago. Yet here she was, moving through a foreign country, carrying the aura of royalty without the responsibilities. And that's where things got messy. Officials inside the UK government and the royal institution reportedly saw the Nigeria visit as a blurring of lines. Was Meghan there as a private celebrity or as a quasi-royal figure? Her speeches and appearances weren't sanctioned by the palace. There was no formal diplomatic mission. And yet, the press framed the trip as if she were still the Duchess in full official capacity. And Meghan herself didn't seem to correct that impression. To many in power, this wasn't just a harmless PR moment. It was a dangerous mix of personal branding and implied royal authority, a cocktail that raised constitutional eyebrows. Because here's the unspoken rule: you can't have it both ways. You can't step away from royal duty to become an independent global figure, and then waltz into international spaces wearing the crown's invisible glow, not without sparking questions about who's accountable, who's authorized, and who's profiting from the royal image. And the backlash wasn't just bureaucratic nitpicking. Critics pounced on the symbolism: a former duchess using her old royal title to gain access, influence, and media dominance, all without the transparency or oversight that comes with being an official royal representative. To seasoned observers, this wasn't just a trip, it was a test, a challenge to how far Meghan could stretch the meaning of her role before the system snapped back. For Meghan, Nigeria was meant to be a triumph, a showcase of her continued relevance, her global reach, her ability to make waves outside Buckingham Palace's shadow. Instead, it became a flashpoint, a moment when royal privilege collided with private ambition and left the public and the establishment asking, where exactly is the line? And as we'll soon see, that question would only fuel the political storm brewing back home. Now, if you thought the Nigeria trip was bad, just wait until you hear about the moment Meghan herself lit the match under her royal reputation. It came in the form of a joke, a light quip, a simple line that went viral: "I'm Sussex now." On social media, it was shared with a wink, a laugh, a flood of heart emojis. But for an older, more traditional audience, the ones who remember what royal titles actually mean, this wasn't just a harmless one-liner. It was a slap in the face. Because here's the thing: Sussex isn't just a trendy label, like a brand name you slap on merch or a nickname you drop in a podcast. It's a historic duchy, tied to centuries of British monarchy, lineage, and national identity. It carries with it a weight of tradition, of duty, of honor. One that goes far beyond Instagram posts or celebrity interviews. So when Meghan, a woman who willingly stepped away from royal service, casually jokes, "I'm Sussex now," it's not just cheeky. To many, it's deeply disrespectful. A signal that she sees the title as a prop, a costume, rather than a serious role tied to public trust. And make no mistake, British officials took notice. This was no viral meme to them. It was evidence, they argued, of how far Meghan had strayed from the core responsibilities that come with a noble title. It wasn't just about personal identity. It was about public perception, about the monarchy's integrity, about whether centuries of tradition could be reduced to sound bites and celebrity punchlines. What's more, that joke fed right into the political firestorm. Lawmakers who had once been hesitant to intervene suddenly had ammunition. Public proof that Meghan herself wasn't treating the title with the seriousness it deserved. It emboldened critics inside Parliament, inside the royal institution, and among the public, all asking the same pointed question: if Meghan sees Sussex as a brand, why should the crown let her keep it? For an older, legacy-minded audience, this wasn't just social media fluff. It was the moment the royal spell broke, when the delicate balance between personal freedom and historic responsibility tipped too far. And the consequences? They were about to get very, very real. While the politicians debated in Westminster's grand chambers, an even louder, arse, and far more dangerous shift was unfolding across Britain's streets, living rooms, and quiet dinner tables. The public had turned. And not just the young, fast-moving social media crowd, but the older voters, the backbone of royal support, the generation that remembers when the monarchy wasn't just pageantry, but national glue. Recent polling revealed a striking, some might say crushing, figure. Over 70% of older Britons now supported stripping Meghan Markle of her Duchess title. That's not just a statistic, that's a cultural earthquake. For decades, the British monarchy has been cushioned by public goodwill, propped up by citizens who see it as more than just a family, as a living symbol of duty, stability, and continuity. But Meghan and Harry's very public breakaway, their Oprah interviews, their Netflix tell-alls, their branded ventures, they've chipped away at that goodwill, piece by piece. What's striking isn't that some people are upset, it's who is upset. Older Britons, the demographic least swayed by celebrity flash and most invested in the meaning of royal tradition, have reached a point of exhaustion. They watched the Sussexes' departure with sympathy at first. Who didn't feel some compassion for a young couple struggling under the weight of royal life? But as the years rolled on and the headlines piled up, each more dramatic, more self-focused, more profit-driven, that sympathy eroded. And now for a majority of these voters, patience has snapped. It's not just about Meghan's actions, it's about what they represent. A challenge to the institution. A rewriting of the rules. A rebellious streak that, to many, feels less like bravery and more like betrayal. For the political establishment, this surge of public anger wasn't just background noise. It was fuel. When older voters speak, Parliament listens. And now those same lawmakers who once hesitated were emboldened, backed by a public mandate that demanded accountability. Because here's the brutal truth. When you lose the crowd that values you for your legacy, not your headlines, you've lost the very foundation of your power. And for Meghan Markle, that meant the path ahead was no longer just rocky. It was crumbling beneath her feet. By now, it was clear. This wasn't just another celebrity scandal. Beneath the headlines, beneath the jokes and the gossip, something far more seismic was shaking the foundations of the British monarchy. And at the center of it stood the 1917 Royal Titles Act. On paper, this old law might seem like dusty legal code, a relic from another era, designed to tidy up royal naming conventions in the aftermath of World War I. But in practice, it's one of the key pillars holding up the monarchy's modern structure. It determines who gets title, how it's granted, and under what conditions it can be removed. And here's where things get serious. Stripping Meghan Markle of her Duchess of Sussex title isn't just about punishing one individual. It's about redefining how royal power operates in a 21st century world, where celebrity, commerce, and media have blurred the lines of tradition. The moment Parliament moves to invoke the Royal Titles Act against Meghan, it sets a precedent, one that could ripple through the royal family for generations. Think about it. If a title can be revoked for perceived misuse, what about other royals who dabble in business, branding, or political commentary? What about future generations who want to modernize their image or step outside traditional roles? Where does the line get drawn between personal freedom and institutional responsibility? For the monarchy, this is an existential dilemma. If they fail to act, they risk letting the crown's authority erode into little more than a decorative symbol, something celebrities can wear and discard at will. But if they act too harshly, they risk looking petty, vindictive, or hopelessly out of touch in a modern, globalized world. It's a tightrope walk, with the entire royal legacy balanced on a knife's edge. And make no mistake, for constitutional scholars, historians, and government officials, this debate isn't about tabloid drama or who said what on Netflix. It's about monarchy survival, the preservation of a system that has weathered centuries of wars, scandals, abdications, and cultural revolutions. Now, thanks to one woman, one title, and one global controversy, the institution faces a reckoning that could reshape royal protocols forever. Because once the legal gears start turning, there's no telling what old walls might come crashing down. So here we are, At the crossroads Meghan Markle may have never imagined standing at. If the Duchess of Sussex title is officially stripped away, what's left? Is Meghan the global humanitarian she's long claimed to be? A media powerhouse ready to reinvent herself on her own terms? Or, and here's the uncomfortable question, does she risk becoming just another ex-royal, adrift in the unforgiving world of Hollywood, where fame fades faster than palace gates close? Without the crown's glow, the royal connections, and the centuries-old prestige backing her every move, Meghan faces a brutal new reality. Because let's face it, celebrity is a hungry machine. It devours fresh faces, scandal, and novelty, but it rarely sustains those who no longer have something powerful to offer. Will Meghan's post-royal ventures survive without the Sussex name to prop them up? Can she command the same media attention, the same brand partnerships, the same influence when the royal shield is finally gone? Or has the public, the press, and even her once loyal fans already decided her fate? This isn't just a question about one woman's career. It's about power, identity, and the weight of walking away from an institution that has defined you on the global stage. Do you think Meghan can rebuild without the royal title? Or is the fall already too steep? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget, subscribe to Chatterfuse for our next deep dive into the royal aftermath, the political ripple effects, and the celebrity survival game Meghan is about to play. Trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming next.